Who was my mother? I believe that I knew her better than anyone else did. And I didn't know her at all. I could wax philosophical and venture to say that my mother never fully knew herself and that the persona she created became her reality. She saw herself the way she wanted others to see her and built up the necessary barricades between her real character and what she presented. She made it impossible for even her daughter to chisel past the myth. For years, I thought she was the strongest, most honest, and forthright woman ever. Looking back, I see that she was the most truthful white liar I will ever know. I understand a great deal about my mother and about her complex nature, but there were facts hidden, brushed over, and manipulated. There was information lost in translation and lost to booze. And there was much sadness and pain and deep insecurity. I've always felt that to really know another person, it requires a certain willingness to be vulnerable. Vulnerability equaled weakness in my mother's eyes. I've asked myself these questions. How well did I know Mom? How deeply do any of us really know our mothers? And how well do they really know us? Ultimately, how much of who I am is my mother? Do I have to know her better to know myself? Of course, there is a lot I do know. There are stories, the ones she told me and the ones I heard from others, and pictures, so many pictures. They tell a story all their own. I know that my mother, Teresa Anna Lillian Schmann, was born in Newark, New Jersey on August 11th, 1933. She had an older brother and a younger sister who was the apple of Mom's eye. Mom was a perfect example of a middle child. She overcame her low self-esteem by rebelling and being a trailblazer. I smile thinking of her as a sweet but tough little kid whose attitude and humor made her a survivor. I'm proud of my mom as a little girl. But for the most part, when I think about what I know of my mom's childhood, I just feel sad. Evidently, her mother, also named Teresa, was forced to stop going to school at 9 years old to become the primary caregiver of her 3 siblings. My grandmother's mother had passed away, and she became an instant mother to 3 kids. Later on, she lost her younger brother to a freak drowning accident in Newark. I can only imagine the guilt and anger that comes from losing a sibling at such a young age, and while on your watch. While researching my genealogy at the Newark History Society, I found a microfiche document that reported that in addition to these children, my grandmother's father had an entirely different family he was supporting on the other side of town. I'm not sure if my grandmother ever found out about her father's double life, but I have a feeling that all these circumstances of her own life had to take a toll. This must be where her hardened personality began to develop. My grandmother was always a cold person in my eyes, and would often throw out barbs about Mom. She resented her for something, and I saw it when we visited. Grandma never credited my mother for the things she had given her, but instead gave acknowledgement to her other daughter. I guess she resented my mom for leaving her instead of staying and caring for her forever. If I did something annoying when we were visiting, her idea of a perfect insult would be to say, "Ugh, you're just like your mother." I took this as a compliment and thanked her. She'd then scoff at me, saying I was a sarcastic brat. One day, Grandma offered to show me her dentures. I sat on her lap and grabbed her front teeth with my thumb and index finger, and she told me to pull. I did, and her teeth came out in my hands. I burst into tears and thought I had ripped her head apart by the jaw. She laughed hysterically. Eventually, when my grandmother grew up, there was a light at the end of the tunnel. She met and married John Schmann. They had 3 children, Johnny, Louise, and my mother, Teri. My mother's name was originally spelled the same way as her mother's, which was Terry, but she was forced to change the spelling to Teri because there were too many other Terrys and Teresas in her grammar school class.